You're listening to After Hours FM.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of After Hours FM.
Hello. Today we will be talking about the
Beauty
beauty
standards.
standard.
Yeah, the beauty standard. Obviously, it's summer right now in the northern hemisphere, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people are becoming more conscious about their looks. Um, and that's why we wanted to discuss this because we feel like it's not talked about enough.
And I feel like people kind of glaze over it. Like it really is that deep and it
Yeah,
really is that important.
it is deeper than you think, and it
Yes.
has a long ass history and
Mm-hmm.
so many factors that you didn't even realize, probably.
Yeah. Beauty standards are a key force in today's society.
They are.
That was my note.
Think about pretty privilege.
Exactly. Oh my god. Did you see what I had about that? What I
No.
wrote down? Bro. Okay, wait, let me start about the definition though.
Mm-hmm.
Several definitions of beauty exists in this world, but the shortest one is probably found in Britannica Dictionary, defining beauty as the quality of being physically attractive, right? And so beauty standards in society tell people how they should look, quote unquote, on should. However, with social media and just media in today's society, there's more pressure for people and especially young females to look a certain way and have a specific body type.
Young females is crazy.
Literally,
Girls and women.
mm-hmm. Well, they said they provided a reason why they said females because gender is a spectrum or something. They said that on their website. So they did it on purpose. So I thought
That's
it,
weird as fuck.
yeah, I don't know. I thought it was weird too, but I thought maybe it made sense and I just didn't get it.
No, I think it's weird as fuck.
Okay. Um, Also, the medical news today, I found it over there, say that societal beauty standards can increase the risk of mental health conditions, including low self esteem, eating disorders, depression, anxiety, and social isolation. Again, especially among young girls.
Oh my god.
Why are
I feel
you
like
moving away from me?
because I felt like I was in your aura.
But I feel like we have to be in the center.
I think we are in the center.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is good.
Okay. Um, I'm sure that if you know any young women or if you've been a young woman yourself, you can kind of recognize some of these things.
Unfortunately, um, this is what I was getting at, but a number of social and psychological studies have demonstrated that facial and body consonants have a highly important role in our social life. So, literally, pretty privilege. Because beautiful people are considered more successful in their professional and personal life, and beauty is associated with well being. They are perceived as being smarter and more intelligent.
Whoa.
Research has demonstrated that beautiful individuals tend to marry beautiful partners. I read this and I don't know if I agree with that, honestly, but okay. And they are more frequently hired and promoted, receiving better performance evaluations.
Damn.
And they have also found that people considered not attractive are more often found guilty in court and have received longer sentences.
That is insane.
And
That
this
is
is for real in
insane.
a study. This is for real in a study.
And actually, people have theorized about this for centuries, and we will be getting to that later.
Yes. I also in a lot of sources they talked about the Dove, Dove like the brand. They
Hmm.
did a self-esteem project in 2017. I feel like everybody always talks about that, so I wanted to talk about it too.
I've never heard of it.
Oh. Well, it's they examined 10
A
a
thousand.
thousand girls aged from 10 to 17 years old, and there's more percentages, but these were just the two that I thought were interesting. And 90% of those girls say they follow at least one social media account that makes them feel less beautiful.
Whoa.
Don't do that. Unfollow, block, do whatever you need to do. And 56% of girls say they can't live up to the beauty standards projected on social media. This is
Uh,
56 and this is in 2017.
so you already know it has increased.
Absolutely. Um okay, I found another interesting study which was called Unpacking Beauty Norms and Body Image, Development and Validation of the Perceptions of Beauty Standards Scale. Um, and they talked about objectification theory. Do you know about that?
No.
I think you do, but I just don't think you know the name. But they talk about that theory as an illustration of beauty standards in today's society, pretty much, because they highlight how the frequent portrayal of individuals, especially women, as an object of beauty and glamour could lead to self objectification, because they tend to treat their bodies as objects to be evaluated and judged by external standards. This internalization process does not only um, shapes self-perception but also contributes to several mental health issues. When societal standards are internalized, self-worth could often become tied to appearance, resulting in body shame and psychological distress. So
Wow.
it's literally making subconsciously making yourself an object.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of us do that.
Mm-hmm. Because that's what the world does to women.
Yeah. And that's what you're taught to do from a very young age.
Mm-hmm. Here we go again. Here we go again. Literally. Whatever. They also mentioned the concept of body capital, and they described this as physical appearance being a form of social capital. And they said that women and gender minorities experience disproportionate pressure to conform to beauty standards, perpetuating gender hierarchies and inequalities. Objectification and commodification of appearances not only sustain these hierarchies but also exacerbate economic and political disparities.
I feel like this becomes pretty obvious when you think about the standards that men have to conform to be able to be perceived as a serious individual that you're supposed to respect is way less than whatever women have to go through and put themselves through every day just to be respected and to be seen as someone who is worth anyone's attention.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately. And beauty standards do come from a actual beneficial place in evolution, because humans, according to evolutionary scholars, humans have evolved attraction to certain traits because they signal important information about the individual's biological condition. For example, that this individual is particularly healthy or fertile. And considerable research has ascertained that the perception of attractiveness is innate, which I thought was interesting. Human beings have an inherited capability to distinguish an attractive from an unattractive person. Um, in this study, 12 babies from 3 to 6 months of age were able to distinguish between attractive and non attractive faces.
Fun fact, I remember as a kid finding people ugly, like grown people, and I would just dislike them.
I think I was scared of people I found ugly.
Oh my god. That's really funny.
But I feel like I was also scared of literally everybody.
Yeah, you were. Even beautiful people.
Yeah, no hate, no shade, no tea.
Um, but yeah, even though beauty has this biological reason behind it, and we find certain people attractive and certain people not, there's also a lot of social factors, and I feel like that can be proven by the fact that a lot of the things that we find attractive nowadays are not necessarily a sign of health, or could even be a sign of not being healthy enough and not being fertile at all, such as being extremely thin, which often makes women lose their periods, making them literally infertile and also unhealthy. But also things like small feet or noses, which is not necessarily a sign of health or of being unhealthy. Um, or even things like plucking your eyebrows, which literally takes away your protection of your face, or getting rid of body hair, or harmful practices such as foot binding in the past, or nowadays wearing heels, which damages your legs, your back, but makes you look beautiful somehow, even though it doesn't make you healthy at all.
Yeah, these days it does not fulfill its evolutionary purpose anymore, not in humans at least, because we're attracted to objectively not healthy looking people anymore.
Yeah,
Um, but in animals, you can still very much see that, the survival of the fittest and all, because they
yeah,
want to mate with animals that are beautiful,
beautiful.
which because this signals that they are healthy.
That's why male birds show off their fuck ass feathers to
Mm-hmm.
female birds
Yeah.
in order to win their attention. But yeah, the whole health thing also reminded me of the looks maxing community, because I remember looking things up about having an overbite because I have one, and I wanted to kind of correct it. And then I found this whole community based around mewing, and they were saying stuff like, yeah, if you have an overbite, that means you're unhealthy, that means you're not breathing properly, and that makes your nose crooked, like that makes your nose not straight or not like a slope to nose. So if you have a like a hooked nose, that actually means you're unhealthy and you're not breathing properly, and that's why you have an overbite. And stuff like this is incredibly harmful to say because it doesn't have anything to do with health. This is pseudoscience, but the looks maxing community has grown significantly since I saw that video in like 2017, and now a lot of people believe things like this. And I'm sure a lot of you know that the looks maxing community is not the most welcoming and accepting, warm
Kind
community out there. And there's a reason behind that. And they may hide behind this um, like
facade.
facade of health and wellness and human efficiency and evolution, but in reality it's very harmful, the things they do to themselves, such as smashing your jaw with a hammer or injecting yourself with meth.
Right, right. Okay. So now we're going to talk about beauty standards throughout history because that's pretty interesting. An article that has contributed immensely to all of this research, even some of the previous part, not everything, but some of it, is called Beauty Perception, a Historical and Contemporary Review. It's from 2023 by Dmitry Dimitrov and George, oh my God, Krompuzos.
Oh my god, two Greek people,
Literally, this
or
guy,
one of them is
Dmitry
Greek.
Dimitrov, is so goaded for his name. I can't lie.
That's such a slay.
It's giving Galileo
And
Galilei.
his initials are DD.
Bro, he has
Okay, start the
Dimit.
thing.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
um okay, so the power of beauty influences many aspects of modern society and daily life. Perceptions surrounding beauty date back to ancient philosophers and have evolved significantly throughout history. The theme of beauty in the West dates to ancient Greek, Hellenistic, and even medieval philosophers. It is discussed in the work of most great thinkers such as Kant, Schiller, Hegel, and Schopenhauer. Plato depicts beauty as one of the three wishes of everyone, together with health and riches. Interestingly, wisdom was not one of them.
Yeah, and this is really funny because both Aristotle and Plato, they talked about what it means to be a good person, and what you said, like the wishes and or yeah, the three
Yeah,
wishes that everyone has, and what you should do and what you should have to be a good person. And one of those things was beauty. Because back in the day, in fucking Plato's day, beauty was objective and it was directly tied to morality. If you were beautiful, that's part of being a good person. And if you were ugly, that meant you could never be a good person.
that is not only in their time though.
No, like back in the day, that was like the general consensus, and everyone agreed to this.
Mhm.
They were the greatest thinkers of that time. But as you said in the beginning, even nowadays, when ugly people or like conventionally unattractive people go to court, they are more likely to be suspected of committing crimes. And this is already an issue, but it becomes even bigger when you think about what we find beautiful nowadays and how that excludes certain people of maybe certain races, certain ages, etc., which we're going to get into literally now, I think. But yeah, it wasn't until the 1700s in the West that there was a shift in the aesthetic philosophy that stopped believing that beauty was necessarily a moral issue, and beauty started being associated with things like art and subjectivity and personal preference.
Right. Um, so the role of facial symmetry has always been considered to be the primary important feature as a sign of beauty, but more recent research has refuted this and supported that proportional facial feature may have a more important role in beauty perceptions than symmetry alone, which I had not heard that. I only know about symmetry.
I feel like it makes sense,
It does, it
but I've
does.
also never heard
And
that.
this study talks a lot about proportions and like ratios and whatnot. but I did not include all of that. So, skin color has always been considered an aspect of the primary importance of one's attractiveness. Historically, fair skin has been considered preferred by many cultures. Surprise, surprise. But beauty standards have changed over time. A youthful appearance is considered a permanent influential component of facial attractiveness. Women with neotenous, aka juvenile features, are viewed as being more attractive than older appearing women. This, though, can be explained with the older evolutionary theory because young people are more healthy, they're more capable of reproducing, so it makes sense. And I am not justifying pedophilia, but it this kind of, like, having juvenile features even though you're of age, I would hope it could be explained. Um, the figures of ancient Egyptian women usually presented with slim high waists and narrow hips, dark black hair, and golden skin. They applied makeup, usually black eyeliner. Ancient Greek women liked the look of unibrows and used to bleach their curls. They also valued beauty in men and symmetry more than in women.
They admire beauty more in men?
Yeah,
Whoa. I guess that may have something to do with being beautiful, meaning you're a good person.
maybe.
Because Aristotle also believed that if you were a woman, you could never be a good person.
Right.
Fun fact.
In medieval Japan, long hair was highly appreciated. Beauty required the features of pale skin, round, rosy cheeks, and little bow lips. During Renaissance Italy, the criteria for beauty included high foreheads and blonde hair. A beautiful woman was thought to be a virtuous one, which you just mentioned. At the time, a figure with a rounded shape was equally considered beautiful. So you didn't,
Equally.
yeah, so, but like, you didn't have to be skinny,
Ye-
skinny.
yeah, but like you also didn't have to be curvy.
No.
Okay, inclusive.
Body
Body
positivity,
positivity.
first presence. During the 18th century in France, an oval face with a double chin and rosy were beautiful. The Edwardian era, which is from 1901 to 1910, it's so
It's nine
specific.
years.
Yes, but they said it as the era, the Edwardian era, which I don't know if you can even call this an era, but okay. Can be remembered as women with an hourglass figure and small waist, accentuated by a full bosom and by equally hips. Right, whatever that means. Because the skirts were long, women's ankles were considered sexy. This is the again the this used to be a trend, right? Even in our age, like slim, thick, or whatever. Small
Yeah,
waist,
small
full.
waist, hourglass figure.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
The small foot was a crucial aspect of Chinese beauty that continued for hundreds of years. But as time passed, the concept of beauty has changed more often. Also, it should be mentioned that even though we live in a globalized world where everybody's connected and we see what's going on everywhere, um, regional and regional, racial, and cultural um, beauty standards are still very, very different because beauty trends exist in different places and they are different. So, for instance, the beauty standards in Latin America may be different from the European, African, or Far Eastern concepts.
Far Eastern
That's what they fucking
said.
said. So don't blame me.
I'm not blaming you. I'm blaming them.
Um, I also thought it was interesting because they went over different ethnicities and talked about the beauty standards within these ethnicities. I will say I would highly recommend you read the article, you and
Mm,
also the fucking listener, because they also said a bunch of they were very technical in their terminology with
okay.
what the beauty standard looked like or what people tended to look like in their face. Like, they mentioned really specific things which I didn't really mention all of it because I thought it would be too technical, but it is still worth looking at. um so they started with white beauty, and those their beauty standards include narrow shaped faces with round eyes and small noses and lips, a slim figure and white skin, and a preference for a skinny face was also reported.
Wait, small lips?
Yeah.
Whoa.
hmm And then for Asian beauty, they did say that East, Southeast, and Central Asian populations are non homogeneous and present each with unique facial characteristics.
Real.
Well, they did not put this trigger warning for Western white beauty,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
But for the other ones, they all did it.
But I mean, I guess that most white countries kind of have similar beauty standards, especially if you go back a couple of years. But I will say, like, West Asia, which is the Middle East, is very different from East Asia, which is like Japan and Korea and
Yeah.
China.
Yeah, yeah, but I looked for the trigger warning there and it wasn't there, so I don't know.
Whoa.
But they're not considered white though, so maybe like
Yeah.
they're not talking about European beauty, they're talking about white beauty.
Yeah.
Anyways, Asians, but then they do kind of talk a little bit more about East Asia
Okay.
in their study. And they say Asians tend to have a wider face with shorter vertical height, so they're just short,
Mm-hmm.
and fuller lips. Chinese aesthetic practitioners have preferred a heart slash inverted triangular facial shape with a reduced lower height, straight and small nose. A round pointy chin for both women and men were most preferred. A thin figure is a prevalent beauty standard in most Asian cultures. And while studying East Asian women, researchers observed a tendency among them to believe they are overweight despite having a normal or low basic metabolic
BMI.
index. Is that what that means?
Yeah.
N- really? Is BMI associated with your metabolism?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
Oh
know that.
no, I'm lying. BMI is body mass index.
Yeah,
You're
I
cracking up.
no, but I don't know,
Oh,
girl.
basic metabolic index per.
Oh, because it's like B. You thought this was
Yeah,
the
yeah,
abbreviation.
genuinely.
um, I thought that was interesting.
It is interesting, and I feel like it's visible nowadays. If you look at popular East Asian shows or music or celebrities, most of them do have a V-shaped jaw. You can even get surgery for it, and like big eyes, like a high straight nose, and very thin. All of them, like their version of thin is way different than white people's version of thin.
But it's also like not attainable. Like,
Not healthily attainable, no.
but is it for anybody?
No. I mean, very rarely, yeah. Like some people are just naturally like that, but it's a very small minority.
Yeah, of course, of course. Um, then we move on to Black Beauty. That's literally these are the headers they
They use.
assigned. So I'm just copying that. And they also gave the same trigger warning that when analyzing beauty features of the African American population, one should consider that it is composed of multiple ethnicities.
So this is just African Americans. So in America.
I guess.
Okay.
Finding unique facial characteristics across all ethnicities was challenging. Researchers have described some key features of this race, such as a broader nasal base, reduced nasal protrusion, lips and soft tissues of the midface are typically prominent. Also, they found differences in what African American women perceive as attractive when compared to white women. African American women may hold a definition of attractiveness that is multifactorial and extends beyond a small body size to include factors such as dress attire and race. African American women describe attractiveness in terms of shapeliness, the fit of clothing, emphasis on hips, and femininity. Being overweight or obese is not related to body dissatisfaction among some African American groups. Contrary to the above, other studies have demonstrated that, like whites, the African American population has perceived underweight women as more attractive.
I've never heard of that,
I th-
actually.
I have, but I've also heard more of that they don't really like it when they're too
Thin.
thin, but I feel like it is very it differs.
It
Like
does.
some people do really like it and they think it's beautiful, but I've also heard a lot of um people say that like it looks like you're starving or like
Yeah.
they don't like it.
Just like when you see an animal. Or,
Mhm.
but yeah, I guess like they said, it depends on where you live, the community. You can have a different perception of it.
Yeah, for sure. And then lastly they talked about Latino beauty. And they also said that Latinos comprise a non-homogeneous ethnic group, including individuals with African and Central or South American descent. Beauty ideals may vary within this ethnic group. Trigger warning again. They also said that rhinoplasty is the most common plastic surgery procedure within the Latino population,
Oh, damn.
which I thought was pretty interesting.
I think it's the same for the Middle East, by the way.
I think they also gave some um, indicators, like with the last one, what exactly was beautiful, what they found beautiful, but it was very technical, so I didn't include it this time. But as you can imagine, the noses were like a big thing, which is why I included the thing about rhinoplasty. Also, a pale skin complexion in certain areas of Latin America is preferred, and Latin America's favor a slightly larger body with a broader bust, thinner waist, and wider hips.
So an hourglass figure.
Yes.
Wow. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I guess this kind of shows like the fact that throughout time and across different cultures, beauty standards are still not the same. And something that could be considered the epitome of beauty in the West would maybe be considered ugly in East Asia. I guess that shows that nowadays our perception of beauty is mostly socially determined and doesn't really have so much to do with the evolutionary function that it once had.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I always think it's very interesting whenever I see like pictures of people doing plastic surgery in East Asia and they shave away their cheekbones, they get rid of their jawline and make it like less defined and more soft and like a V shape. Or they get rid of their arched brows and make them straight. Whereas in the West, all of those things would be considered beautiful and you would be considered different for wanting to change that and going under the knife to do so. And in East Asia, it's the other way around. Like, why would you get buccal fat removal that makes you look youthful? Why would you want your eyes to be more slanted? Like round eyes are beautiful, etc., etc.
Damn, that's so interesting.
It's so sad.
It is. It is sad.
As a case study, I wanted to talk about Disney villains.
That's so interesting. I have no clue where you're going with this.
Oh, really? Okay, so al-
Oh my god, I already know.
yeah, although beauty is no longer considered to be directly connected to morality as it was before in Plato's time, there are still some obvious signs that we haven't let go of that association. When you look at Disney movies, the Disney princesses have those juvenile features that you were talking about that are considered to be attractive in women in the
Mm-hmm.
West, particularly, or
Yes.
all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Well, it
usually,
depends on where the Disney princess, like who she's representing, I think. Because I
oh,
think
yeah,
Mulan does not necessarily represent the West's beauty
yeah,
standard, but
true.
kind of, because the
The
body type
maker,
is kind of always the same.
true. And also the people who make the movie are
Yeah,
Americans.
yeah.
But either way, they usually have a, a not so prominent nose. Um, they don't have very prominent brow bones or cheekbones. Their face is slim, and they all have a thin body, and they are usually not very tall or have like notable body proportions that catch our eye. Like they have long legs, long torso, small hands and feet, etc., etc., long hair, etc. Um, and they are also dressed conventionally. But the villains look less like the beauty standard. They have hooked noses, they have moles, they have wrinkles, they have they can have short hair for women or long hair for men. Um, and they might have fat or disproportionate bodies, such as maybe not a small waist or short legs or no neck, stuff like that you wouldn't consider perfect or beautiful. And this recurring pattern throughout multiple media and franchises shows that we still somewhat associate goodness with beauty and evilness with ugliness. And the fact that these are made by white people in white societies means that they mostly perpetuate the white beauty standard as good, and ethnic features or maybe things that would be considered beautiful in other parts of the world as bad. And I guess it gets to a point where we have seen this so often that we cannot imagine finding conventional attractive people ugly and vice versa. However, as we discussed before, beauty standards constantly change. And even now, I feel like something could be a trend now, and then in 2 years, it would be considered tacky and not beautiful.
Mm-hmm. I would even go as far as to saying this doesn't only this goes in a lot of other films beside like Disney. Like I think it's very obvious in Disney because it's animated and they have to actually put an effort into it, but also just in just movies and
Yeah,
and shows where it's like the maybe there's not even a villain, but like for example, if you're watching a romance show and then the guy stealing the girl from, trying to steal the girl from the guy she's supposed to end up with, he doesn't look that good as like,
the
he
good
looks,
guy.
yeah, he looks not conventionally attractive, and that's how you can kind of know that he's like, oh, he's the bad guy, he's breaking them up, whatever. But
Yeah,
it's prevalent in a more places than not still, I would say.
for sure. And I think what makes animation extra interesting is that features in animation are gonna be exaggerated regardless. And for the princesses' features in their face, they are very, very, like, very juvenile. Like, if you saw a grown woman in real life, she would not have.
She wouldn't emote like that.
No, it's giving child. And
Uh-huh.
even if you look at things like Winx Club or Totally Spice, they are not shaped like women are in real life. Like if you look at the waists of
Yeah.
Winx Club characters, they are microscopic, but we don't find it weird or disturbing because we've been told that this is beautiful and we believe that this is beautiful. But if you look at villains like Ursula or I don't fucking know, the evil stepsisters from Cinderella, they are fat or like have short legs or big feet that don't fit in the shoe or whatever. And we do find it disturbing, even though those are shapes that we do come across in real life. And that wouldn't necessarily correlate to bad health. Or even if you look at skin, having moles is not a bad health thing. But it was considered to be ugly for a long, long amount of time. And that's why a lot of Disney villains have them, whereas Disney princesses never do.
Yeah, and I hate to be that person, but also the lack of traditional femininity in the villains is also
Yeah.
trying to point to them being bad people or like ugly. For example, Ursula, to go with that example, her voice wasn't
Yes.
good and she wanted Ariel's voice, um and her voice wasn't, it wasn't feminine, it was a little harsh, it was not as elegant, and it was portrayed as bad, like, oh my god, she sounds awful, whatever the hell. um and you can see that in a lot of, like, the witch voice, the voice of
Yes.
a witch is
The
not,
laugh too.
yeah, it's not feminine, so it's ugly and it's bad and it's scary.
And even the evil stepmom, or not the evil stepmom, the evil
Stepsister.
queen in Snow White,
Mm.
she, the whole thing with her was she was going to be the most beautiful and she felt super proud of her beauty, and then when she saw that that was being threatened by another girl who was supposedly more beautiful, she wanted to kill her. Like that teaches a
Literally,
big lesson about the
the value of
the
beauty.
value of beauty, and like, oh, if I'm in beauty I'm in danger and people are going to want to hurt me because I'm beautiful
And
and
that
blah
it's
blah
worth
blah.
hurting people over.
Yeah. And also that it makes you more feminine and more beautiful to be oblivious about your beauty, kind of. And it makes you like unfeminine to be chasing beauty.
Yeah.
But that is very like subtle. Like that is my interpretation. But yeah, I think this is a super interesting and it has been talked about a lot on the internet, but I just wanted to say it again that beauty standards are not neutral, and you can really, really see that in Disney villains.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I also had Love Island as an option, but I don't think it's necessary.
Why not? Do it.
Okay, I also wanted to talk about Love Island, which is airing right now, and I know a lot of people are watching it.
Will it still be airing when this is?
Or it will be like just done. And I thought it was this was really interesting because as far as I know, there is three English speaking versions of Love Island. You have the UK, Australia, and the US, and in each version the epitome of beauty is different, and the most beautiful girl that the guys keep chasing is different. And even if you look at the US version, this year they hired a lot of people with natural features as opposed to last year you had more people with, for example, a BBL or like very obvious nose jobs or lip filler or other plastic surgery. And a lot of people were kind of weirded out by the girls looking so natural and having small butts and looking very skinny. And it's like, huh, since when is this like the beauty in Love Island USA, like, huh, that's weird, and their faces being very natural, no lip filler, stuff like that. And I thought that was really interesting and telling of what we consider beautiful. And also, the way that the fans talk about the people in the villa is so dependent on their beauty. Because if someone is not considered as beautiful as the rest, they will paint her as the villain or as boring or as weird. Whereas if a guy, or like if someone was behaving the same way but looked conventionally attractive, it would be like, oh, so unproblematic, so refreshing. So, and if the contestant is like less conventionally attractive, we immediately think they are less worthy of love and annoying to see on our screens. And unfortunately, this year, I've seen a lot of people talk badly about Beatrice from Love Island USA, who is a Paralympic athlete, like a Paralympic bronze medalist, and she was missing a leg. And I saw so many men in particular make fun of her for it.
What?
Yeah. And also people calling her masculine or a lesbian because of her voice or maybe because of her mannerisms. I don't even know. But that is very
Oh my
weird.
god.
And people saying like, oh, I'm glad she left because she was being so weird to this and this girl who is like the perfect girl and blah blah blah, which is so weird. So weird. And also people talking very weirdly about Jen's body from Love Island USA. I'm naming all of these examples because that's Love Island I'm watching. But yeah, she is not as skinny as the rest of the girls, and she has a bigger chest, which is natural. So there was a lot of spillage around her bathing suit area, and people were talking about it as if it was a mistake instead of a natural consequence of having a bigger chest. Um, or saying that her outfits weren't flattering or her makeup wasn't flattering, when in reality that's just how outfits look when you are a certain size. And she looked good in my opinion, but yeah, people had a lot to say about that. um and the worst part, arguably, is that um since the show is centered in the USA, or around people from the US, the beauty standard is going to be really white. And people, especially last season, were very quick to villainize the two black women in the villa and kind of paint them as bullies and spread this narrative of like, oh, Olandria and Shelly are bullying Huda and they are being so mean to her and they are not girls and they are so aggressive and etc. etc. Jen
These
from
are such keywords used for black people in the
right?
media.
Like, what the fuck? And even this season, a guy called Jen aggressive for expressing her opinion, and being called aggressive for expressing your opinion is very, very typical experience for women.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not, if you don't look like the perfect demure skinny angel that people want you to be. Um, but yeah, I thought that was really interesting as well. How people still kind of villainize people who they don't think look attractive, and have people who are very beautiful conventionally have this halo effect that makes us view them as innocent and good and pure. So I thought that was interesting.
It is. Those are good
And also
examples.
how the beauty center differs in the UK, US, USA. It's telling, like how you said it differs per region in the world.
Mhm.
And also over time it changes. Season 1 looks very different from season 8.
Yep. I mean, I didn't watch it, but
You can imagine.
yeah,
Okay,
that was all.
that was all we had. Thank you for listening. You can listen to our episodes bi-weekly on Fridays at 5 p.m. CET on Spotify and YouTube. We also have a YouTube channel called After Hours TV with more casual content. And we also have social media, After Hours FM with a zero instead of the O, on TikTok and Instagram, where we post daily.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye.